Okay, so I'm joined here today with Harry. She's asking me questions about some of the things that may be interesting to some of you, and it's kind of like a Q&A. And also, this is part 2 of a 2-part video. Part 1 is on Harry's channel, and I'll link that in the description below and probably at the end screen of this video. So without further ado, let's get on and roll it. Okay, so Ari's going to take it away. She's going to ask me some questions on autism and my life and what I do and stuff like that. And then, yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. We'll have a discussion about it. We'll find a little bit more about Ari as well, because obviously this is a two-way discussion. And hopefully this should be a really interesting video. So, Ari, take it away.
Okay, cool. Let's see. What else do I have? Well, I had it all written down, and I'm all over the place. You mentioned on the last video, and I've seen a few of your videos as well, you talk about UFOs. So can you just take this opportunity to tell me about your passion for UFOs?
Sure. Okay, so like my passion for UFOs, I guess it stems from the fact that I always like to know how things work, and I like to compute things down to a level of understanding. And this led me to kind of looking at things like the paranormal activity or UFO activity and think, well, how does that exist? What is going on there? So I study, I mean, look, put it this way, there's about 85% of nonsense, you know, around the internet or around the world really that talks about UFOs, but it's the other percentage that I'm really interested in, the small but excuse me, the small but factual parts that I find fascinating, and there's so much in it. I love just consuming it because it's almost like it's scientific. That like gets my brain going. It's systematic. I love learning about systems. It's technology. You know, it's everything really that really gets me going. And one of the things as well is that it's the stuff you don't hear about, and I find that fascinating. Like, why don't we hear about this stuff? So that's kind of like my obsession with it, and that's how it works really. But I mean, I would go into detail about some of the the UFO stuff. But I don't know if we've got time for all that.
No, of course. But yeah, I just wanted to know a little bit more about it, because I can tell from your, you know, I mean, I'm not very good at reading people, but from what I can read from you is the second you started talking about it, your eyes got wider, and I swear they got bluer as well. So you can tell that you're very, very passionate about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Or it could just be Skype, you know, reflecting off your eyes. So have you met people who refuse to believe that you're autistic? I find that the case sometimes, and I know some other people do too.
I've never met anybody in disbelief of it, but I have met. I mean, you have come across people where you say like, you say, oh, just before we do this, I just, you know, I do have Aspergers Syndrome, which is like a higher functioning version of autism. I know I don't like using functioning labels, but you know, it's just a way of talking to somebody of a novice of the subject, and then they're like, oh, you don't seem autistic to me, and it's not like they dismiss it. It's not like they're saying I'm wrong. They're just saying like, are you know, that it's a weird one. So I have come across that before when people say, oh, you're alright to me, or you're not like that kid I know. It's like, what is that got to do with anything? So it definitely exists, and I think, and it really grinds my gears when I see people like that, because it's like, you know, you can't judge people just on the fact that, you know, everybody becomes a clinical psychologist as soon as you tell them you have a neurological condition. You say, oh, yeah, I've got autism. They're like, well, you know. It's like, no, you're not a clinical psychologist, you know, you're not a psychiatrist. I don't think you have any authority to tell me anything like that, but that's just my personal take.
Yeah, I've actually heard from other people, they've said that they've gone to doctors, and GPs are not that well informed a lot of the time either. Somebody said, oh, you can't be autistic because autistic people can't read. Or, you know, like, you wouldn't let me touch you otherwise. Somebody at work once said to me, you're not autistic because you won't let me touch you otherwise. Which is a bit silly, but I think the spectrum is a lot wider now than first thought. Yeah. And the one that, there's something that a lot of people have said, and I said this in one of my videos, that never say these things to an autistic person, is, you don't look autistic. No.
Get it all the time.
Yeah. What are your, you've already said about Fight Club on the last video, you may want to talk about it again, but I would like to know, what are your favourite films, so more than one, and why? Cool.
Well, okay, so I have, like, I would say that there's a top two. My favourite movie of all time is Fight Club, without a doubt, and that is my favourite movie because it's exceptionally poetic, and it kind of it tells you how the world is from the other side of it. Like, everybody sees things from a certain way, you know, and nobody says anything about it. It's almost like, I feel, society is always led in a certain way. It's guided in a way. It doesn't naturally progress that way. It's guided, and so things like, you know, Starbucks, it becomes like the only coffee brand you can have, or like McDonald's becomes like this. If you're going to go in here for burgers, it's going to be McDonald's, and it becomes these cut, copy, paste kind of weird things that are. It's hard to explain, but Fight Club puts it in a very, very good way. That he says, there's a monologue. I'll try and recite it the best I can. It's not very long. It's only a few seconds. So Brad Pitt is narrating part of it, and Edward Norton's obviously narrating part of it, but Brad Pitt does a monologue, and he basically says, we've all been raised on television, and movies to believe that we're someday going to become rock gods and movie stars. Advertisers have us chasing cars and clothes to buy crap we don't need, to work jobs we hate, and we're slowly learning that this is, you know, very, very wrong, and by not true, basically. And what he's saying is that, you know, you're raised on television to think that you're going to be this rock star and a movie star and a millionaire, but you're not. You know, not unless you work at it. It's not just gets thrown to you. But what I'm trying to say is that society breeds you in a certain way, and so Fight Club exposes those kind of unusual blends of reality, I guess, and fight against that kind of that norm. I think what they call it, the body politic, is the term. So that's why Fight Club's amazing. It's very poetic, it's hard hitting, and it's reality, mind opener. And the most amazing thing, it's not about fighting. That's what I think is amazing about it. Because I'm a pacifist, you know, I don't like fighting, a lot of conflict. I don't like any of that stuff. The second favourite movie I have is They Live. It's a movie from the 80s called They Live. I don't know if you've come across this before. It stars a wrestler who I believe is dead now. He's called Roddy Piper, and he used to wear a kilt on stage. He kind of had like longish hair and like a mullet in the 80s. He was a very famous wrestler. But he's in this movie called They Live, and They Live is very underrated as a movie, but it's fantastic. And the reason I love it is because the premise of the story is that you have aliens who'd come to Earth, and they've taken over society. And what they've done is they've put up these like holograms that make you see things, like, you know, all the signs just have like holidays, vacations, or like a magazine and money just looks like money. Everything looks exactly how it looks now. But when Roddy Piper puts on these things called Hoffman lenses, it's like a pair of glasses, like a sunglasses, and they're called Hoffman lenses. And when he puts them on, he sees that the world is grey and black and white, and the big signs say "obey" all over them. And you might have seen this on T-shirts, the slogan saying "obey" on caps and T-shirts and stuff, and like big red blocks saying "obey." And that comes from this movie. And it was weird. So all the news reporters and all the news anchors are all aliens who are just feeding like a narrative to kind of control the population. It's amazing. And so the reason I love that movie is because, you know, I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist, and I'd say that movie is more closely related to reality than most people give it credit for. I actually have an exclusive action figure, because I collect action figures. I actually have an exclusive action figure from They Live movie. It was made for me by a guy, and I would get it. Hold on, I'm going to get it. I'm going to show it. I also have a collection of Fight Club action figures that are exclusive as well. I have the entire set of Fight Club action figures. But this is what they look like, these little guys. This is the news reporter from They Live. And this is what the aliens look like. But when you look at them normally, they just look like a normal person. But when you put the Hoffman lenses on, this is what you see. So this was made for me. It's a resin action figure. And I paid money for this, handmade in America. And it was amazing. I just love it. But so that's my like two favourite movies. And then below that, I say Donnie Darko is a great movie. And the director's cut is amazing.
Fantastic. Okay. Let's see. You're quite a successful YouTuber anyway, but just want to know, what are your goals with YouTube, whether it's a year, 10 years, whichever.
Okay, yeah, no, thanks for saying I'm successful. I wouldn't say I was like super successful or anything, but I work hard at my channel, you know, I work hard at YouTube, and I find it awesome. And so my overall goals is I want to get to 100,000 subscribers. Again, this is not a vanity-driven passion, and I'll explain why. So my idea with my channel is that if I can get myself to 100,000 subscribers, that's 100,000 strong people who are ready to actively engage in changing how the systems work that we live in, systematically changing how governments view autistic people, systematically changing how public services are used, how they're accessed, giving access to people with autism. So basically, when you go to a hospital, it's not autism friendly. It's like, what on earth are we doing when our hospitals aren't even autism friendly? Our doctor surgeries aren't autism friendly. Our doctors, 2% of doctors don't even know anything about autism. That's almost half the GPs you go and see won't know the condition you have. So half of the time you go and see a doctor, they don't understand the condition. So the Aspie World, I want to make myself an authority, or make the brand an authority, so I can take it to places like, public sectors and say, hey, we need to train you on this. This is a 100,000 strong movement. You need to listen. Because when you have 100,000 people behind a movement, it begins to move fast. So that's the idea of it.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good goal to have, 100,000. And I reckon you're probably going to get there by the end of the year, in a year's time.
Maybe. Well, I'm currently...
Because you've actually... Your subscribers have really escalated over the last month or so. I think you've gained, 3,000 in the last month to 6 weeks? Because you've been posting milestones. And I thought, this is really snowballing now. Yeah,
well, basically, I go up about 1,000 a week, roughly. I end about 200 subscribers a day, roughly, maybe a bit more. So I'm just turning 38,500 subscribers as we speak.
Fantastic. So, I think by the time this video goes out, you'll probably be at 40,000.
Maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. My last question is, who are your idols, living or dead?
Oh, my idols. This is cool. My idols, so many. Okay, so Nikola Tesla is awesome. I love Nikola Tesla. He was such a freaking, the guy is a genius, and nobody experiences that. I think it's crazy how freaking clever he was. Another one of my idols is Mark Hoppus, is a bass player from a band called Blink-182. I know him indirectly as well, which is weird because I made friends with some movie stars, but they know him, and it's kind of weird. So I don't talk to Mark, but I do have his number, which is really weird. So I could text him or something. That freaks me out. But he's still my idol. I love it. Oh goodness, who else? I don't know. There's so many more, but I really like. Kurt Cobain was pretty awesome because he was super intellectual. His musical ability was amazing. But if you want to talk about YouTubers, I would say that my idols on YouTube are Pete McKinnon and Casey Neistat, because the weird thing about Pete McKinnon is that Pete McKinnon has a similar style to me, and I found that amazing. As in, he dresses like me, and I found that super, super interesting. And I came across him, and I was like, dude, this guy's stuff. Because you can look back at my videos before I even knew who Pete McKinnon was. I mean, Pete McKinnon's only been on the YouTube scene for about a year, so if you go back 2 years and look at my videos, I still wear the same clothes. And it's kind of weird because a lot of people say, oh, you dress like Peter, but no, it's cool. So I relate to him, and I think he's awesome, and he's a great movie maker. Casey Neistat is awesome, and if you don't know, you got to know who Casey is. And I just find his stuff so inspirational. It's amazing. And there's one other person I was going to mention then. Goodness me. A guy called Adam Young. He's a musician called Owl City. That's his brand or his band. He's called Owl City. He basically makes music, and he's got Aspergers Syndrome, and he was born. We're only 10 days apart, so he's 10 days older than me. He was born the same month, the same year, everything. But he's 10 days older than me, and but he's a great guy. He's a multi-musician. I love that. He's got Aspergers Syndrome, and he's super, super successful. What a guy.
Fantastic. Okay, those are the last of my questions. Do you have anything to ask me?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, what is your YouTube channel about?
When I first started it, I posted my first video 5 years ago, and all I wanted to talk about was writing. That is and always will be my first love. And then I kind of trailed off for a little bit, and when I came back to it, I just thought, just talk about things generally, and then I mentioned about autism. I've now gone into gaming, so I vlog and I game, so I do both on my channel. I don't want really to separate my channel. Some people say to me, have one for vlogging, one for gaming, but if you look at someone like PewDiePie, he does all sorts on one single channel. And I think now it's more just about fun, because I don't have many subscribers, but to be honest, that doesn't really bother me, because I'm just thinking, well, I'm just having fun. I'm making videos because I like making videos, and I'm not very good at editing. I want to get better at that. So I think my channel is about autism. I also talk about atheism. I talk about education. I'm part of a gaming troupe called the Deceitful Six. You might have heard of us. And we get together and game together, and I'm obsessed with Skyrim. I've got 31 Skyrim Let's Plays on my channel, and I live streamed my first one last week, and before that I did a live stream on my wife's channel. We both played a game called A Way Out. It's quite big at the moment, and live streaming is bloody addictive, and I really want to do it again, but I need a more powerful PC.
So what's your goal then? Where do you see your channel in like a year or 2 years or 5 years?
I think I would just see lots more videos on my channel and a lot more Skyrim and a lot more fun. To be honest, I'm not bothered whether people... I would like people to watch it, I'd like people to respond to it, I'd like to spread the word a bit, but at the same time I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it as a let out for, you know, if I feel frustrated about something, or if there's something I want to say. It would be great if more and more people responded to it, because I'm like you, I'm trying to put more positivity out there for autism. But I think over the last few months I've got a bit down when I've seen my subscriber count go down or whatever, and I just thought, just stop letting it bother you, just have fun. And if I can be a bit more, for lack of a better term, popular, that would be brilliant. But as long as I'm still enjoying it in a year's time, I think that's my main goal.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, like, YouTube's always... You know, I lose thousands of subscribers, you know, a month. You know, it's not always kind of like, you might see my subscriber count going up, but you don't see how much I've lost. You know, so it's kind of it just comes with the territory. And one thing is, a lot of people will tell you that YouTube is based on luck, right? And it's not based on luck. The success in YouTube is based on your ability to work hard at something. So and I did this, like, my channel didn't start to move until I focused my energy on it. So I said, I'm going to do this now, and I told myself I'm going to do it. And then so it leads you into amazing places. So I would highly recommend, if you want to succeed at it, try and focus your mind on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I did, and I was uploading every day in January, and that's when I really saw my subscribers kick up. But then I was neglecting my uni work, and I also work full time. So I thought, well, try and do what you can at it, and I think now I've seen my subscribers and my view count sort of plateau for that reason. But then I have to prioritise my full-time job. I can't survive without that. And one of the reasons why I've had to defer university was because I did slack off, but then there was a lot of stress involved and etc. And I had to defer for that reason. I don't want to do that again. So if I find that I can't do YouTube because, or I have to slow down on YouTube for my reason for my job and my degree, I will make that sacrifice. But at the same time, I won't stop doing it. I might just slow down a little bit. Yeah.
Well, no, definitely. I mean, your career and your livelihood comes first, I guess. But just think about it. Like I said, when you focus your energy onto it, maybe there's something you can do with it. But no, it's been amazing. Look, thank you so much for asking me all these kind of amazing questions. I hope that my audience enjoyed it, and I hope that they go and check out your channel. I highly recommend you do, because why not share the love of people on the spectrum making videos on YouTube. If you'd like to learn more about autism and Asperger's, please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the screen here somewhere, and check out my last video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.